Okay, we're back. It is Perks Recap Podcast. With me, as always, is Al. Joining me for a week 3 review. My God, I do not know what's going on.
Yeah, right there with you, my man. This is just a fascinating league. I love it. It keeps us on our toes. I mean,
It
I
doesn't make any sense.
that's the thing, man. If it made sense, we'd all be killing it with our bookies.
Unbelievable.
I know, man. It's wild. It really is. It really is. There's some really. We'll get into the specifics here soon enough, but there's some things that are just melting my brain right now.
I totally agree. Right off the bat, we thought we'd have pretty significant win for the Jets in terms of our scores that we had. We had the Jets winning. But up here, a lot of the Jet fans were very much concerned about this game because it is New England, and they have horror stories, and New England gives them nightmares. So they were thinking it was going to be a really close game, but 24-3, kind of like a nice and tidy win for the Jets, just kind of doing just enough. I mean, you go from their quarterback situation that it's been the last couple of years to Aaron Rodgers, and it's night and day.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And it took a minute for them to look like the Jets we thought they'd be, and it looks like that might be here now. And they also, by the way, the Pats kind of went back to what we thought they'd be at the beginning of the season. Their first two games were very impressive. This one, not so much.
They couldn't do anything.
Nothing.
Nothing. It was hard to watch. I mean, they could not do a damn thing.
Yeah, brutal. So they regressed back to what we thought they would be in the beginning of the season. The Jets are kind of looking like what we thought they would be too. This is one of the few things that made sense this week.
Yeah, agreed. Because the second game that I have here is Giants 21, Browns 15. We both got this wrong. I said 20-3. You said 16-13. And the Giants did just enough to win. In Cleveland, we got to start considering. I mean, Cleveland's is Cleveland just a bad team?
Yeah, they might, and it doesn't help, by the way, that Miles Garrett is undergoing MRIs this week for some kind of leg issue. If he goes out, I mean, then the best thing on the best part of their team is no longer there either. So it's too early to say anything yet about that, but watch out for drives on that situation. Um, Listen, I got to give the Giants a little credit here. They beat another bad team on the road. Daniel Jones had his second decent game in a row, He's not, calling up Joe Montana to take his trophies anytime soon, but 24 for 34 for 236 and two touchdowns is otherworldly compared to how he's played for the last couple seasons. Um, Malik Neighbors is a real player. And the Giants defense had 8 sacks.
Yeah. Yep. The strength of their team, I thought, was going to be the defense if there was a strength, and not their pass defense, but their front seven was pretty formidable, and they showed out for this one for sure. And you're
No
right
doubt.
about Neighbors; he is unbelievable. He will be, like, in terms of fantasy football drafts and stuff, next year probably be a top 5 receiver drafted.
Yeah, he's going to be. It's going to be interesting to see where Marvin Harrison Jr. is at the end of the season. But right now, Neighbors is clearly going to be the top second year player taken next year, and doing it with Daniel Jones. So it shows you he can do it with almost anybody. You know what I mean? So
If they upgrade next year,
that's what I was thinking exactly.
then he might even be better. Okay, all right. So we go back and forth here, right on the Jets, wrong on the Giants, and we were correct on the Colts beating the Bears 26-20. I had it, you had it 17-13. The actual score was 21-16. Um, Kind of what we expected. The Chicago's struggling on offense. I mean, I think that maybe they looked a little better in this one, but still not good enough, obviously. And the Colts are the typical Colts, just winning a few games here and there, and before you know it, they're around 500 just about every year.
Yeah, man. There's some noteworthy stuff from this game because let me read you some stats here and tell me who you think would have won the game if you just heard these stats. Third, Caleb Williams was 33 of 52. I didn't write the yardage down, but it was dang it, I didn't write the yardage down. But 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Anthony Richardson, 10 for 20, 167 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Yep.
Sure sounds like the Bears would have won that game, but they did not. That's because Jonathan Taylor is awesome and had 23 rushes for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the Bears are just there. It looks like it might be starting to come together. A couple positives for the Bears would be Caleb Williams was they were in a game script that forced them, even though they were in these before and they didn't really do it. They allowed him to go nuts this time and chuck the ball all over the field, not just 5 yards down the line of scrimmage. Roma Dunze had his breakout game, 6 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown. So there are some positives in the future for the Bears that came from this game. Just
Well,
didn't work
plus
this week.
Keenan Allen should be coming back soon too, right?
He should be. I haven't. I'll look that up while we're talking, but I haven't heard anything specific yet. But he should be back soon, man. If they didn't put him on the IR, you would. They certainly expected him back before week 5.
What I have for it is he didn't practice at all entering week 2 or 3, and he could return soon. But plantar fasciitis injury is likely to continue to linger,
You
and
don't
it's
like.
the same injury he had that was play. He's been plaguing him since 2023. Um, so yeah, it doesn't sound like he's going to be 100% really at any point, but that doesn't mean he won't return. He might return.
Yeah, he because he was certainly an effective player last year for the Chargers, so hopefully he can be that for the Bears at some point here. Um, but yeah, that can wreck careers, that fasciitis
Yep.
junk. So hopefully he's all right. But yeah, so interesting game. The other big story in this game is the lack of development on Anthony Richardson's part continues.
It's alarming now.
It's starting to get there.
It's starting to get alarming for me. Um, yeah, I need to see it now. I need him to give me a few weeks of good production to get back on the train. Right now, I think I'm off for now. Now he does not look the same at all.
I know it's weird, man. He had that really cool first game with those big throws and blah blah blah, and then it's just looked like absolute garbage since. So I'm not sure what to make of it. I really kind of I want to see the Colts get down by double digits early in the second half in one of these games soon, so he has to wing the ball all over the field and see how he handles
Yep, that'd be a good test. Okay, uh, right, wrong, wrong again.
it.
Minnesota 34, Houston 7. We both had Houston winning. What the hell is going on?
Dude, this is wild. Now, listen, I did get my upset pick right for once, so that's cool.
You did. You picked Minnesota as your upset pick. But I got to say, I guess, Minnesota's better than we thought. We were talking about reassessing last week. I think the reassessment has to happen with Minnesota. We have to regard them differently moving forward, making picks and things like that. They're a good team, and Sam Darnold is out of his mind right now. He's playing at an MVP level.
Yeah, and if you had
And,
told me that was going to happen, I would have told you were insane.
and Houston just looked like a different team. They played like complete garbage. They were just terrible. Um, After coming off the 2 weeks in a row, 2 wins in a row, we were both really high on them. I'm still relatively high on them, but they gotta bounce back from this and prove that was just a blip on the radar there. Um, but you know, good on Minnesota. I am readjusting my expectations for them now.
Absolutely. I started doing it last week, and this just heavily reinforced. This team, it's hard for me to believe they're not for real now because they've just, I mean, especially beating a good Texans team, they've beaten the Niners and the Texans 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. If you told me there were any team that you had told me was going to do that coming into the season is a playoff contender, is a legit contender. So, I mean, I can't believe if you, again, I'm going to do a stat thing. Now, if you had told me that one of these quarterbacks in this game was going to go 17 for 27 for 181 yards and 4 touchdowns, and the other one was going to go for 20 for 31 with 1 touch and 2 picks, I would have told you Stroud had the better stats and Darnold had the worse ones, and it was the reverse. Like you said, Darnold right now is probably the MVP of the league, which is crazy and fascinating. Aaron Jones keeps trucking along over 100 yards. He had 100, almost 150 combined yards and a touchdown. They are a contender. Their defense, I mean, you hold that Texans offense down like they did, that defense is for real too. So, I'm not quite sure how good they are yet, but they are at least a 500 or better team now in my mind. I mean, I just can't believe it.
Darnold did tweak his knee on Sunday, but they're saying that he's not in danger of missing week 4.
Yeah, saw that and heard the same things. That sounds like really good news because it would suck with this breakout he's having if he got hurt. That would just
Yeah.
be a shame.
Okay. Well, I'll let you take it, man. 15 to 12, Philadelphia over New Orleans. We both picked New Orleans, so you got that wrong. Go right ahead.
What a fascinating game! This was one of the most wild games I've ever seen. Though I'm going to say this after an Eagles win. The Nick Sirianni watch is on. He did so many weird things in that game. This was clearly a defensive. Listen, I know the Eagles defense has been on your I forget exactly how you phrased it, but a questionable list or however, you know what I mean? Like watch and see, wait
Yeah,
and
I
see.
want to see them do it.
Yeah, well, you saw them do it this week. I mean, they just stuffed the number one offense in football to 200 total yards.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it because they were on my watch and see list too. Honestly, um, they made Alvin Kamara look like he's 47 years old again. They made Derek Carr look like he's on one of those crappy Raider teams. It was They obliterated that offense. And this game should have been a blowout or at least a comfortable win for the Eagles. But because of some really crappy coaching decisions by Sirianni and a couple turnovers by Jalen Hurts, which is still the only real issue going on with their offense right now, is Jalen Hurts making some bad decisions here and there. But this was clearly a defensive struggle type of game, and you could feel it right from the beginning. And Sirianni twice goes for it on questionable, long, a 4th and 4 and a 4th and 3 when they could have had field goals. Didn't do the field goals, kept it a really close game. So Sirianni's driving me nuts. But welcome to the Eagles, Vic Fangio. Had to remember coming into this season that this was
Yep.
2 new coordinators, brand new coordinators, new systems, and there was a learning curve. Hopefully, this is what it's going to look like. Because
Right.
whew, I mean, was that an improvement from those first 2 weeks? So, there's a couple other things I might mention after you talk, but I mean, in a nutshell, fascinating game. The Eagles played well enough to absolutely dominate this game. The fact that it was as close as it was is on Sirianni to me, and Hurts on the turnovers. But fascinating game. What did you think of this one?
Well, I mean, not that I'm a fan of them, but I was happy to see the defense respond and play well. Got to see, it's two weeks where it wasn't so great, 1 week where it was very good. Let's see that again. But definitely arrow pointing up now. They're looking better for sure. The Fangio effect is definitely a factor there in the learning curve, which is the same thing they were doing last year because it wasn't last year they had two other coordinators as well, right?
Absolutely.
They were new, so they gotta settle on some guys here too.
Well,
That's
the
another
thing
thing
though,
too.
real quick, Craig, the difference last year was it was guys that were under the previous guys, so it was the same system. It
Okay.
was it was idiot bad coaches making bad calls rather than it being a new system. Those guys
Uh,
turned out to be horrible, both of them.
okay. So now it's a new system.
Now it's two brand new, completely brand new systems. Absolutely.
Okay. Very good. Um, I gotta say, I mean, there's still questions. Jalen Hurts is because I have him in fantasy, and he's driving me up a wall. He is killing me.
Yeah, I wouldn't have touched Jalen Hurts with a 10-foot pole this year because I knew the tush push wasn't going to happen again. There was no way he was going to hit double digits running, and that's what makes him valuable.
Oh man. So he's driving me up a wall. Um, I need to see a really good game from him. They've all been okay, pretty good, but nothing there's no 350 yards and 3 touchdown days.
Right.
And I like to see one of those every now and then. Um, the offense as a whole. Now, you said it was a defensive game. What do you think of New Orleans' defense coming in? Coming
Coming in, I
in.
thought they were really good. I mean, they're playing really well anyway.
They were playing well. I'm not sure how sustainable it is with them for on defense, but I don't know. The Eagles' defense played good. Their offense. I know you said they played well enough to dominate. I think they played pretty poorly on offense. I was not impressed at all watching them on offense, and definitely the turnovers have got to stop. And in part as well, Sirianni making some really dumb decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can say they played poorly, Craig. I mean, Barkley ran 17 rushes for 147 yards. Goddard had 10 catches for 170 yards. Hurts was 29 for 38 for 311 yards. And I know that picked Dingsy in fantasy, but, that's a pretty good game.
Yeah, it's not bad. I didn't wasn't thinking about I wasn't I was thinking more about the passing game, but even that was okay. Barkley obviously has been a monster, and that's the biggest difference from this year to last year.
Yeah, the reports of Barkley's demise were greatly exaggerated.
I still say he's not as good.
Well, you hang on to that, buddy.
When the last 4 weeks of the year he has a combined 130 yards, you watch it's going to happen anyway.
I'll take whatever bet you want to make. You told
Well,
me
he's
that
got to
coming into
stay
the
healthy
season, and
too.
he's already dusted what your expectations. So you're already
That's
behind
for
the eight
sure.
ball on the Barkley calls.
Definitely. Definitely, he's definitely been a lot better than I thought he would be. But again, I still don't think he's going to be that great.
Would you
Anyway,
admit now that he's better than DeAndre Swift?
well, DeAndre Swift is awful. He's one of the worst running backs in the league right now. My God, what happened to him?
See, this is what I was talking about. Remember, let's revisit something I brought up in the preview podcast. Remember, I was talking about that yards after expected stat,
Yeah, yeah,
and how he and Rashad White were the only two running backs that look good in their stats at the end of the season, who were starting running backs in the NFL, who were in the bottom 20 in that stat of all anybody that had over 50 carries last year, and they were in there with guys like AJ Dillon and really bad running backs, right?
yep.
Um, they've both been terrible this season.
They really have absolutely.
Terrible.
So, I mean, without question, right now he's probably the best running back in the entire league. I mean, that's I don't think really that's up for debate. We'll have to see where he ends up, but right now there's no doubt about that he's been the best running back in the league by far.
No doubt. And I only bring that up because it's that stat. Keep your eyes on that damn stat, man. I'm telling you. Like, it's my new favorite stat because that accurately predicted two running backs that were going pretty high in drafts this year that were going to be terrible. It's my new favorite stat.
All right, back to one we got correct.
Let's do it.
Pittsburgh 20-10 over the Chargers. We both had low scoring games. It was a relatively low scoring game. And we had 16-13 and 18-15. Um, yeah, we both got it right. Pittsburgh's defense is, for real. And I tell you what, every week Justin Fields looks better and better, and he looked good again.
I'll tell you, this is his job. It is his job. I don't care the status of Russell. This is his job. And you're right. He looks better and better every week. They take the shackles a little bit off every week, and he delivers every time. He made a play. I don't know if you saw this one. I don't know if it made the highlights, but it should have. But I didn't get to watch a lot of them. He made a play rolling to his left and threw it was somewhere around 30, 35 yards downfield, right on the sideline to Pickens. That was I mean, there's a handful of guys in the league that can make that throw, and it was
Yep.
really an impressive throw. It was right on the dime. And every week he gets a little more confident, a little better. I think he's going to be the guy. I think he's the guy for the season, unless something really weird happens or he gets hurt.
I agree. And I tell you, if Russell comes back and they just give him the job with Fields playing like this, that's a bad move. That's a mistake.
I agree, and I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's all right. I personally, I think he's was ready to come back and play 2 weeks ago,
Yeah, I think so too.
and they're just keeping this injury news out there to not have to talk to the media about it. That's my take, but I could be wrong. But it's what it feels like to me. And yeah, Russell might have gotten Wally pipped.
Yeah. Um, on the other side, I did not realize the Chargers had a really interesting stat.
Hmm.
Their first touchdown that they gave up to Pittsburgh was later in the second quarter, and they
Mhm.
had gone something like 8 quarters or 7 quarters without giving up a touchdown.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Because the week before they didn't give up any in week one. They gave up one touchdown in the first quarter and that was it. So it went second quarter on that game, the entire next game, in the first quarter of the third game without giving up any touchdowns at all on defense. So the defense is a little better under Harbaugh. That's the whole point of that is saying their defense is a little better. I mean, Pittsburgh only scored 20. It's not that much really, but they don't really have that kind of an offense. So we'll still have to see. I have the same thoughts on the Chargers. I still think they're going to be okay. I mean, that was a tough game with that defense on the road, and their defense is playing better. And Herbert aggravated his high ankle sprain now, and he's questionable for week 4.
Absolutely. No, that's legit thing. I forgot they had traded for Taylor Heineke right before the season started. He's their backup, which was, there's a lot worse backups in the NFL than Heineke, so that it's better than Easton Stick.
Hell
um,
yeah, hell yeah. They have they have they have Kansas City next week. That's gonna be tough. Then they have the bye. So if he can get through week 4, maybe he'll be able to heal up a little bit during the bye.
Yeah, they need him. Obviously, I mean, they don't have a. It's not. Harbaugh's doing a great job. This team is not talented enough yet to survive the loss of Herbert very well. I don't think. Um, they're on their way. Harbaugh's going to bring them. If he doesn't have them in the playoffs soon, not this year, but in the next year or two, I'll be very surprised because he's a great coach. But they just don't have that talented of a team yet, so they can't afford a loss to Herbert and still hang in there. Um, the other thing I want to say about this game is this Steelers D. I keep talking about it. This Steelers D is a championship defense.
Yep.
If Fields keeps improving and they can just be middle of the pack on offense. Right now they're bottom third. If they can just be middle of the pack on offense, this team can make a playoff run.
Oh, real quick to pivot back to the Eagles. What's the word on Devontae Smith? I know he's in the concussion protocol. They're saying that he's highly questionable for week 4.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything definite yet. I think it's too early, but let me check. And also, Lane Johnson concussed in that game too. It wasn't
Yeah,
as brutal. By the way, how is there not a penalty on that?
I know. That was brutal. That was awful.
And who I forget who the was it Greg Olson I think was doing the color commentary in that game. They showed the replay where the guy clearly cracks him in the helmet with his helmet, and Greg Olson says, "Yeah, he just hit him in the back." How does the helmet fly off from a hit to the back? So yeah,
I
that was
hear
that
you.
was that was a tough one. That was a tough one.
It says over the last 2 seasons, any player in the protocol usually missed at least one game.
Yeah, it would be stunning if he played this week after that hit. So I'm not seeing anything definitive either. Um, But yeah, the Saints apparently are developing a reputation for dirty because the Eagles aren't the first team to say it. Did you see the one where that offensive lineman just rode Darius Slay all the way to the bench and then shoved him on it?
Yep,
I
yep,
mean, that was ridiculous. And Slay missed the rest of the game.
yeah. Is he okay? Is he going to play next week?
He's all right. He's all right, thank goodness. But yeah, they're going to be potentially. I don't know about AJ Brown's status yet for this week, but they're potentially without their top two receivers this week, which is not good.
Yeah, if they don't have either one, that's definitely not good. Back to Pittsburgh. There's some injury news there too. Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, both of them are. Warren had a knee. Harris has a shoulder. Um, Warren's headed for an MRI. They're both questionable for week 4.
Yeah, everything I saw on Harris sounds like he's going to play. Oh, here it is. Steelers get good news on Najee Harris injury.
Okay.
So it's saying he avoided serious injury, but he's still going to be questionable this week, I think.
Now the guy to watch is Cordero. Oh, geez, I always get in trouble with his name. Cordero Patterson.
Boom.
He's going to get the bulk if these guys are banged up, especially if one of them's out,
I
like
completely
Warren.
agree. Completely agree. And what a cool thing for them that they have him as their third running back, you know?
Yeah, because he's had some really productive days in weird ways, receiving, running, all kinds of stuff.
Well, ever since they switched him, where was he at? Atlanta when
I think
somebody
Atlanta switched him. Yeah.
I mean, he was 10 years in the league, it felt like. I don't know how long it actually was. It was probably 6 to 8 years in the league as a first round bust of a wide receiver who was a really good return man, but that didn't matter anymore since they changed the return rules. So they rendered him completely useless. And then Atlanta decides to try him as a running back and completely reinvigorates his career. Gotta love that.
Okay. All right. So back to being wrong again, both of
Yeah,
us.
which, well, unfortunately, familiar territory for us in the last couple of weeks.
Oh man, this is. I mean, there's some puzzling games. This might be the most puzzling. Denver 26, Tampa Bay 7 in Tampa Bay.
I mean, come on,
You
bro.
predicted 34-9 for
Yeah,
Tampa Bay to win. I predicted 31-17 for Tampa Bay to win, and they get basically dominated by the Broncos. What the hell?
this is the one that had my head spinning like Linda Blair in The Exorcist. I just couldn't believe, like, what is, and my first note that I wrote, because I don't know, you remember what I said last week? I wrote, this game, dot, 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 after I finally bought in on Tampa.
Yeah.
It
That,
took me a year and 2 games to believe that Tampa was actually semi real. And the second I do, they lose to one of the worst teams in football and get blown out at home.
I mean, I don't know what even to say. They didn't even really have any big injuries that I can tell.
Nope.
From what I'm
Nope.
looking at, not really. No, nothing.
Nothing that explains that away. That's for
No.
sure.
What in God's name?
I can't wrap my head around it. I watched highlights. I tried to read up on it. I can't figure anything out other than it's just one of those damn things in the NFL. But, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean,
Bo Nix didn't actually play that bad.
no, he played decent and he ran. He 9 rushes for 47 yards and a touchdown too, on top of not being a turnover machine and inefficient. Um, this is wild. Here's an interesting stat from that game. The two running backs that I'm familiar with from Denver going into that game are Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin, right?
Yep.
5 rushes for 12 yards for Williams, 5 rushes for 7 yards for McLaughlin. You ever hear of Tyler Batty?
I have heard of Tyler Batty.
Because I
B
didn't know
B
him.
Baty.
Or B, let me hold on a second. Let me make sure I have this name right. Um, the point is, while I find it, and I'll confirm the
I might
name.
be thinking of Brett Beatty, the baseball player.
I'll find it and confirm the name. But this guy, who was an undrafted free agent in 2022, and then spent a couple years on various practice squads, ran 9 times for 70 yards.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't Denver, I mean, good on them for the win, but right when Tampa Bay is really starting to impress us, this happens, and now you're back to questions again.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I have no idea what to make of it. It is Tyler Batty, but it's Badie.
Okay, yeah, I don't know him at all.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, he was an undrafted free agent out of Missouri 2 years ago. Yeah, no, this I I mean, literally the entire last season, I just couldn't believe that the Bucks were really contenders, and all the way through to when they beat the Eagles in the playoffs. And then this year again, I didn't buy in. And then 2 games in there, they're looking like world beaters. I finally buy in, and they get smoked by arguably the worst team in football through 2 games, other than Carolina.
Unbelievable. I'm at a loss for words with that.
Same. I really don't know what to say about it. I mean, we're just gonna have to watch and see what happens now, because I don't know what to make of that team after that at all.
Yep. Okay. Okay. The game we disagree, we did not have the same pick. Green Bay 30, Tennessee 14. You actually had Green Bay, you got the win. I got another loss. I had Tennessee. I was just picking the home team, and I thought maybe Green Bay would be off of their high of the shot of adrenaline without their quarterback and rally around and get one win. Kind of like how when teams get a new coach, they win a lot, like maybe the first game or two, and then they just go back right to where they were.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I was thinking. Obviously, I was wrong because Malik Willis. What and another one? What is happening? He looks great. 30-14 on the road. My goodness, my goodness.
I can't believe it. And what a thrill for him it must have been to do that at Tennessee.
Oh my God,
I
absolutely.
mean, you kind of joke. I didn't even mention that it was a revenge game. You kind of jokingly referenced it as a revenge game, and I laughed like because was like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and you couldn't have been any more right. Like first of all, what the hell happened in Tennessee for Malik Willis's 2 years there? Where he looked that bad and now looks this good. It's got to be coaching. You know what I mean? So it doesn't look good on Mike Vrabel's ability to develop a quarterback. Um, all of a sudden he's in Green Bay for freaking 3 weeks or something, and he looks better than Jordan Love. Like not I'm not really saying that, but he looks. I mean, he's efficient. He's super efficient. The legs are there. The Packers D is also legit. They sacked Levis 8 times.
Yeah. By the way, the Will Levis experiment has got to be over in Tennessee.
It's listen. I don't know if I'd pull the plug yet because I don't. Wait, let me. Who's do we know who their backup is? Isn't it Joe Flacco?
Is it? It might be.
I'll look
And
it
you
up
know
while we're
what?
talking.
After what he did, he should get the shot.
I'm with you. Well, two weeks in a row of pick sixes too.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What do we got on Tennessee's quarterback depth chart? I want to say it's Flacco, but no. Mason Rudolph.
Oh, he's not terrible. He's not terrible though.
No, no, and he's young enough that you could, if he actually goes in and play well, unlike a Flacco, you think you might have rediscovered something here.
Right, right, right. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how long that leash is going to be on Levis. It can't be much longer because he is losing games for that team.
So there you go with that. I mean, Green Bay. I said it after week one, even though it was Love then. I think they're legitimate. Their defense is pretty good too.
They have definitely moved into no doubt legitimate to me. If they can win 2 games like this, if that coach can take Willis and turn him into the best Green Bay's ever seen, not really, but because they have so many good quarterbacks. But you know what I'm saying. I can't believe they turned him into functional in 3 weeks, let alone being really good. Their defense is legit. Everything about this team screams legit, and Jordan Love's gonna be back. So wow,
They're
wow.
saying Jordan Love is back. Should be returning this week.
By the way, it makes that Eagles Week 1 win look all that much more impressive now.
Yes. They do say likely with a brace, but
Okay,
but he's likely to return in week four.
okay, okay. Yeah, because he came all of a sudden. He almost played last week, which surprised me. So that made me think maybe he would play this week. So yeah, that confirms that. Very cool.
Okay, let's see here. Next one. I almost picked this and I didn't, and I should have. Carolina over Vegas 36-22.
Oh my goodness.
Andy Dalton, my goodness, we both got it wrong. We both picked Vegas. Andy Dalton looks great. I said it at the time that Carolina, if they're going to win 2 or 3 games, this might be one of the ones they win because they're going to, I don't think they're going to go 0-17. So they're going to win a couple games. We're not going to ever pick it. And sure enough, here we go. They get the win and they look good doing it. Score 36 freaking points.
Yeah.
Who could have possibly seen this? And how do the Raiders let this happen at home? After beating Baltimore on the road, they come
Come
home and lose to Carolina?
incredible. Incredible. So, a couple things about this. First thing, does this mean that Bryce Young is that bad? Because only one thing changed in this game, and it was the quarterback. And this team went from looking like one of the worst teams to ever set on foot on a football field to destroying a bottom third team, but not the worst team in the league.
Agreed. Um, I guess that is what it means, but it also means, and I've been alluding to this too. I think now we're at a point now where I'm not going to be surprised at anybody beating anybody anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
There's no upsets anymore. This league is getting more and more even as it gets. Every year goes by. Everybody's just so close together. The difference between the worst team in the league and the best team in the league is minuscule now.
Yeah.
Anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's
I'm
always
not going
been
to
the
be
case, but
surprised
maybe
anymore.
more so now. I might agree with you there. Yeah, it's oh wow, Dan Campbell's in a commercial on my television as we're speaking.
Yes, he is. He's doing the
Applebee's.
Buffalo Wild Wings, I think, or maybe Applebee's. He's got the menu over his face, and he's
Yeah, yeah,
talking.
yeah, totally. That's I hadn't seen that before. That's funny. I can't not pay attention to Dan Campbell when he comes on my screen.
I totally agree. But yeah, I mean, do you know what I mean? Though, do you think it's
Yeah,
more
yeah.
prevalent now than it was before?
It's interesting. I think there's something to that. I'm not quite sure how much. It's definitely changed because of the salary cap, because the overall level of everybody's awareness of football is so much better that you're never going to have some just absolute piece of garbage last long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's something to that, man. You know, but on the other side of that too, upsets always have happened. There's always
Right, upsets have always happened, but these aren't just upsets. These are just every team. Like there's so many teams I look at, and they seem the same. About 500, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but any of them can beat any of the other ones.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. It really is. Yeah, we'll see by the end of the season because there's still going to be, there's going to be six teams that are, have 6 wins or less, and there's going to be a couple teams that have 13 wins, you know. But I don't know. It's
I
a
don't
really.
know. I'll kick back on that a little bit. I don't think anybody's going to have less than 6 wins.
Oh yeah, I'll bet you whatever you want on that right now.
I think so, the worst team in the league, might be more than one, will have 6 wins because there's no bad teams.
Yeah, I take. I mean,
Well,
I would.
you know what? Carolina probably won't get six.
Well, and it would be the first time in the history of the NFL that happened, and I don't think
Right,
it should.
but I think they're the only ones. The
I think
Patriots are going to get six.
I think there's a bunch of teams that I could list that could end up with less than 6 wins. I think the Broncos. Let's see here. I think either the Giants could, the
Um,
Titans could.
I don't know. I think the Titans are going to do what they always do and end up 8 and 9.
Yeah, I think they suck. Like they look horrible, dude. They look
They
horrible.
do, but I think they're going to make this quarterback change.
Yeah, and I don't think they're good enough for that to matter that much.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely teams that can, but I don't know. I'm just so in the middle on everybody that I don't see any differences in these teams. In almost anybody, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants beat Dallas. I wouldn't be surprised if New England beats Buffalo. Like I'm not going to be surprised about anything anymore. Even Kansas City dropping to a bottom feeding team, I won't be surprised anymore. I'm not surprised over anybody beating anybody anymore.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. But my take is you shouldn't have been in the first place because it's the NFL.
Well, come on, Minnesota beating San Francisco wasn't a surprise.
Well, not to the point where it's going to change my entire take on the league.
Well, for me, it is because there's so many other ones that are just like Grit Carolina beating Las Vegas. Doesn't make any sense. Denver going to Tampa Bay, beating Tampa Bay. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
The
but if we
Giants
went
beating
through,
Cleveland.
but if we went through a schedule of like last year, Jets beating the Eagles didn't make any sense. There's 10, 20 games like that every season. You know what I mean? Now maybe we're getting a little tighter here. I think there's something to. I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying, just not the full conclusion you're drawing. You know what
Well,
I'm
if there's
saying?
10, 20 games of this season, then we're going to have a lot of straightening out that's going to happen the rest of the way because I think there's about 15 already through 3 weeks.
Right on, right on. Yeah, I'm just not that surprised by some of this stuff.
All right. Anyway, let's move on.
Dig it to another surprise.
Well, not really. Well, it depends on what your next game. My next game is Seattle and Miami. Seattle winning 24-3.
Oh yeah, no, one of the few chalk games of the weekend.
Right. Absolutely. Um, no doubt about it. And Miami, yeah, they're just going to be lost. That's it. That's all there is to it. They're lost, and they're gonna be in for a rough go of it the rest of the way. I think there's another team that might not win 6 games.
That's a good call, actually. That's a good call. If Tua doesn't come back, I would bet they don't get to six. I think you're right there. They this like does this put the future of what is it? McDaniel, right? Is the name of their coach? The guy that used to be the Niners coordinator. What's his name
For who? I'm sorry.
for the Miami's head coach? I'm sorry.
McDaniels?
Yes, thanks, Josh. No, not
McDaniel?
yes. Um, is this putting his future in doubt? Because I certainly wouldn't have thought of that at the beginning of this season.
Yeah, I guess at this point it's gotta, right?
It's wild, right? Because I mean, how much has that changed? Mike McDaniel, that's his name. My bad. Jeez.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, everything changed when Tua got crushed, and
And now Skylar Thompson's out.
Skylar Thompson's out. Who ended up playing those snaps this week?
It's either going to be Tim Boyle or Snoop Huntley.
Snoop Huntley. Yes, please tell me it's Snoop Huntley.
It doesn't say. It says assuming Thompson can't go, Tim Boyle or Snoop Huntley will start.
Yeah, I didn't realize Huntley's nickname was Snoop. That's awesome.
For what it's worth, Boyle was the team's backup in week 3.
Well, you know what, man? I forgot that they signed Huntley. Huntley is way better than anybody else on that roster that doesn't have a concussion problem. So he might actually be able to help them get back a little bit on track, but I don't think he's going to lead them to the playoffs or anything. Wow,
Yep.
wow. Okay, but yeah, just the Seahawks are a good team and they're a
That's it.
solid team.
We've been saying it every week, and that's the best word to describe them. Solid.
Yes, I completely agree. Very solid. Zach Charbonnet is picked up where Kenneth Walker left off. He had a rough game first time coming in off the bench. This game he was awesome.
Yep.
Um, oh, and by the way, news just popped by. We didn't really talk about it when we talked about their game. So the Raiders are sticking with Gardner Minshew. He was yanked during that game, and Aiden O'Connell played pretty well. So there was some talk that they might switch quarterbacks. They are not.
Okay. Alrighty. Moving on. Detroit 20, Arizona 13. Big. I mean, it was a close one, but that's a big win for Detroit. They needed to bounce back. They did. We both picked this one correctly. We both picked the Seattle game correctly as well. Um, yeah, absolutely. Detroit needed this. Arizona is not a dumpster fire. They are a pretty good team, and they gave Detroit all they can handle.
I agree with everything you said. I mean, they the Cards offense was not able to get going in this game. That's a credit to the Lions D, which maybe is coming along here. Um, but yeah, close game. It looked like two good teams playing a nice tight game. You know, the uh, the thing that stood out in this game is the Lions' run game. Gibbs and Montgomery combined for 37 rushes for 188 yards.
Yeah,
That that's amazing. I mean, that's pretty awesome. So that's what Dan Campbell likes to do, if possible. And it was this week, and he did it. So that was it felt like a game the Lions were going to win because of how hard they took that last loss, and that's not always right, but this time it happened to be.
totally agree. Um, both young tight ends came out of this game. Troy McBride
Yes.
took a helmet to helmet. He's in the protocol and is considered week to week. And Sam Laporta has a right lateral ankle sprain, and he's questionable week 4. But they're on a bye week 5, so they're talking they're probably going to actually let him sit week 4 to have 2 weeks off in a row, week 4 and 5. So big losses for them because those guys are big parts of each one of those offenses.
No doubt, no doubt. And do you have Laporta on any of your fantasy teams?
I do not, although I wish I did.
Well, I went hard after him on a couple of my teams this year. He has been very disappointing, and I know he's a great player. He's going to come around. There, it was much like Dallas Goedert finally getting his looks this week when he had 11 catches for 170 yards after not doing much for 2 weeks. But here's his stats through. Now we won't count last week because he got hurt. You know what I mean? But that was 2 catches for 36 yards. Week 1, 4 catches, 45 yards. Not awful. Week 2, 2 catches, 13 yards. So through the first 2 weeks, it was like no touchdowns the whole season. So it was like, whoa, what is happening here? Why are they not throwing the ball to Laporta? But he's going to be fine. It just surprised me, is all I'm saying, because I was super high on him coming into the season. But yeah, I think you were reading the tea leaves right about that. The nice news that came out about him is it's a low ankle sprain, not a high ankle sprain, and we never want to hear high with ankles. So yeah, I think that week off and then come back after the bye sounds like a reasonable idea to me for sure.
Yep. Yep. I think it would make the most sense. All right. Baltimore 28, Dallas 25. We both got it right. We both picked Baltimore. And I don't know what I like less. The fact that, getting blown out by New Orleans the week before, or staging this remarkable comeback and then falling short. They both suck.
That's tough, man, because they were getting just pummeled, and I went to
And
the
then
other
a,
game.
a light switch went off. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, something happened, man. Something happened. It was a combination of things, and all of a sudden, Dak is on fire, and they are just killing it.
He threw for like 370.
Yeah, 379 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, good lord. Um, uh,
It's like they just came up just a little short. I think if they had another quarter, they probably would have won because they had all the momentum. But uh, I give them credit for fighting back and not just laying down. But
Absolutely.
they are everybody's angry apparently.
Yeah.
People are
Well,
pissed off in general. I know Parsons is definitely pissed off. CeeDee Lamb was moping on the sidelines like like a little baby, but whatever. But what I like the fact that they're angry. They're taking it to heart, so that part is good. But I mean, they got to wake up here. This is starting to really get bad. Um, what I was thinking about the predictions early in the year, about them probably falling back, maybe even 9 wins. I did think I picked them for 10. Uh, this is why they're wildly inconsistent, and by the way, their defense, this Mike Zimmer defense, maybe it is a thing about the coordinator learning a new system, and they got to learn it. But this is not working. I mean, his defense. This has been awful. Their defense is terrible.
stunning,
They
stunning.
can't stop the run and they can't stop the pass. Other than that, they're good.
Yeah, yeah, and like the run game could very well just be a personnel issue because it's been two coordinators in a row, right? But the pass defense was awesome last year, so that's got to be a Zimmer issue. And maybe it's just going to need time. There's that whole new coordinator thing you said, and I've said we've said it a lot, and it's legit. So maybe a couple weeks from now, it's a whole different story. But I'm starting to think they just don't have the personnel to have a good run defense consistently because it's two different coordinators, two different systems, and they can't stop the run for crap. Derrick Henry looked like he was 23 again. 25
Well,
rushes for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just
they lost both of the defensive tackles from last year.
in free agency.
Yeah, Dorrance
Oh,
Armstrong and I forgot the other guy. Oh, and Hankins.
well, and they did that because they thought their draft pick was going to be a good player, and he stinks. Nazi
Yep.
Smith.
Although the other one is still pretty good. Overshown. I
Oh,
still
Overshown's
like
a
him.
good player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like him quite a bit. Um,
Yes.
and I tell you, Guyton is starting to look like a rookie. He had two big penalties that really hurt us. The CeeDee Lamb fumble. If he doesn't fumble, we probably win the game. To be honest.
Yeah, that was big. That was huge.
So I mean, it's not all bad, but it's not all good. That's for damn sure. I'm very very wary the rest of the way, and I don't know what's gonna Thursday with the way the Giants actually looked functional and looked good, and the way they are now the way they're feeling so good about it, and it's on the road. And I know Dallas is mad, and I know they've always beaten the Giants, but we'll have to see what happens when we do the prediction show.
Well,
But
it's it's
I'm not happy at all.
it's certainly not the lock pick I thought it was going to be a couple weeks ago.
Nope.
Not even close. Yep,
And
I'm
if
with.
Daniel Jones isn't going to make these mistakes, all of a sudden they're a team that I don't know. If, I don't. wouldn't put them in that 6 win thing. I think they're going to win more than six, or at least six.
Well, Daniel Jones going 2 games without a pick six doesn't make him Joe Montana.
No, no, no. But it doesn't make him Daniel Jones either.
That's awesome. Yeah. Because if they get 2022 Daniel Jones, you know, the guy who throw in the as ever all the Daniel Jones truthers like to point out was his great season of throwing 15 touchdown passes. Even if they just get that, they're better than a 6 win team.
Right. That's what I mean. And that's all I'm saying. Because I don't. Yeah, you're right. Joe Montana. Absolutely not. Not even. I wouldn't even classify him as a good quarterback, but as a functional quarterback who doesn't completely blow games for you. They have the talent around him that they should win 7 games.
Yeah, it's interesting. The problem is that pick six guy's still in there, and he's ready to emerge at any given moment. So we'll see.
Oh, I
We'll see
hope.
where it comes down
I hope
tomorrow.
I'm wrong because I can't stand the Giants, so that's fine by me. And hopefully it emerges on Thursday.
Right. Love it. Love it.
Okay, wait. Did you have anything to add for that one?
No, I thought you nailed it. I mean, you talked about everything I wanted to talk about, other than just Derrick Henry. I mean, that guy. That's the game Baltimore was waiting for. That's what he can still do, and he just, he did what he should have done against a poor run defense. He looked awesome.
Yep, yep. Okay, another one we saw coming from a mile away. Rams 27, Niners 24. We both got it wrong. We both picked the Niners.
Incredible.
And this was the IR game because everybody's hurt.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And
just. Ooh, go ahead. Sorry, geez, it's just
no,
massive injuries.
it's fine. Yes, so many injuries, but does San Francisco stink?
I don't think so. I think, do you remember they had a 3 game stretch last year where they went 0-3 or 1-2. I can't quite remember, but it was a 3 game stretch and they looked awful. They looked awful. It was
Yep,
after they were like 5-1 and they ended up being 5-3 or I can't remember how it all shook out. But do you remember that stretch?
yep,
And I started talking about how maybe they're not as good a team, and boy was I wrong. But they are weirdly, it's something I've started to notice with the Niners is they are weirdly unable to adapt when they have injury issues, and it happens to a lot of teams, and it does kill a lot of teams. It hurts a lot of teams, no doubt about it. But the Niners get a couple people hurt, and they can't play football anymore. It's the weirdest thing.
yep. I
The
mean,
Eagles just won 2 games in a row without AJ Brown. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I don't know. Like it's weird. I don't know.
I mean Debo's out obviously.
Yep.
Um, Ayuk
Hurts
hasn't done
dinged up.
anything. He's still trying to get it reacclimated, and of course, and Christian McCaffrey's in Germany.
Yeah, yeah. It's never good when you hear your players in Germany looking for alternate treatments.
PRP injection apparently is the rumor that he's trying to get.
Yeah, I just hope he's not going anywhere where Ben Simmons has been.
No, I agree. Yeah, he's not going to be. He's going to be gone for a while. I think there's even talk that he might not come back this year.
If he's back before week 10, I'll be stunned. Absolutely
Yeah,
stunned.
he. I don't. If I was betting, I'd say he's probably going to miss the whole season.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a hard one. You might be right. It's hard to say. They I listened to a couple different like supposed experts on the injury he's dealing with, and I've heard a couple different things. One person's like, he could be back by whenever their buy is. I forget when their buy is.
Yep,
But and another one was like, they'll probably bring him back in week 12 and slowly ramp him back up for the playoffs.
I could see that too. That might be the most likely, but we'll see.
But man,
Um,
man, what a shame after coming off of last year and everything. But yeah,
yep. And the Rams got to give them credit. Like you got to give the Rams a lot of credit. Actually, the fact that they were so beat up and come back and win this game. Are you kidding me?
incredible, incredible. And if we're going to give credit or some slack to the Niners for having injuries, you don't get any against the Rams. The Rams weren't giving them any because they were missing more people than the Niners. They were missing
Yeah,
3/5 of their offensive line for crying out loud.
yeah. Their entire offensive line,
Both
their
starting
entire
receivers.
receiving core, basically.
It's incredible. And then they just, I mean, I completely wrote them off. There was no way they were going to win this game in my mind. No chance, no way, no how, no can do. And the fact that they won this game is just astonishing to me. You and I were both very high on them, and I think we both hurt our backs jumping off that bandwagon so fast. And
Yeah,
maybe it was too soon. I don't know what to
I
make
don't
of
know
this.
what. Well, that's what I mean about anybody beating anybody. I mean, they're another team just that's like right in that muck. I don't know what to think of them week to week.
Yeah, and this is
I
where I
because
this
the
is where
week
I definitely
last
agree
week
with the point you were making.
yeah, last week they had no business losing that game.
Yeah, no, I. But then again, 3/5 of their offensive line was out, and two of their starting receivers were out. Same thing last week. So
Right,
if
but
we're
then this week the same thing, and they beat the
and
Niners.
beat the Niners, right?
So
So
what the hell?
it's wild, man. It's freaking wild. It's so crazy, and that there is a big mush between. If you take away, in my mind, if you take away the bottom five and the top three or to five, there's a big old mush, and I'm with you there.
And that's like 24 teams.
Yeah, I would probably put a few less teams in that mush, even having just said what I just said. But I'd have to think about it. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting, man. We'll have to look at that by the end of the year, see if there's any sort of historical thing about teams, finishing within a certain range.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody feels like they're 500 to me. Okay. Um, Kansas City 22, Atlanta 17. We both got it right. We both had Kansas City winning by a little bit of a better margin than that. But I got to say something here. Another team, another week where Kansas City. I know they're 3-0. They don't look great. They don't look even remotely great. They look like they are just skimming by, just getting by. I am thoroughly unimpressed with them.
Yeah, this is very similar to last year. Here's this is exactly like last year almost, except to me they're better this year than they were last year. Their
Well, they
offense
should be, but they don't look any better.
They do to me. They're not great. They're not even close to great, but they were awful. I mean, they were so bad. This is why every week I was ripping on them for not addressing the wide receiver position last year. They looked so bad their offense last year that I still can't believe they ended up winning the damn Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Astonishing. This is a little better. This is a little better, and there's mitigating circumstances because they lost their running back. Um, but it's still not good. It's still not good. But here's why it is good. Their defense, once again, is championship caliber.
yep,
And all they have to do is get a little better, which, as we saw last year, that's what they'll do. They'll just keep dialing it in slowly but surely. They'll win close games along the way. They'll get the number one seed or the number two seed and have a bye. And they're going to be in everybody's face in the playoffs. And they're going to be a tough out.
totally agree.
Fascinating.
Yep. Pacheco is still out. He's going to miss up to 8 weeks.
Yep, he's
So
out
it's
for a
still a
while.
long time before they get him back.
Carson Steele, though, looked pretty good.
Not bad. So we got to talk about Atlanta. They hung in there, and you can actually make a case that they could have won this game. They almost should have won this game. They were looking really good. Cousins finally delivers for them. He looked really good.
No doubt. No doubt. And they had a fourth and inches at the Kansas City 15-yard line with 50 seconds left. And they ran a sweep play. It
Which is
was
dumb.
as it was as odd a call as the Barkley call, even though I didn't mind that call. We talked about it on the pod, but I understand people questioning it 100%. And this was one you could question too, because you got Bijan Robinson, who could lean forward for an inch almost every time you ever give him the ball, or you could have Kirk Cousins do a quarterback sneak. They ran a sweep play, and he got tackled 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage,
Yep.
and that was the ball game. So yeah, you
Right.
are absolutely correct. They could have won that game.
Yeah. I mean, the Kansas City wasn't doing much stopping them on that drive up until that point, anyway.
Absolutely.
Um, so I still think Atlanta's. I don't know. They're in the muck too. I was going to say I still think they're the best team in that division. I don't know. I can't tell. No, Minnesota is 3-0. I mean, Tampa Bay. We were on now, but now what? After they lose to Denver, I don't know. Those all three of those teams are just in the muck, and I don't know what to do week to week.
Yeah, that's a weird division, man. Falcons and Tampa. I think the Falcons are better than Tampa, but
I
I
do
don't.
too.
But man, I mean, the first 2 weeks, Tampa looked like they were going to be 16 and 17 and 0. So I don't know, man. It's so hard to read. You know what? The real truth of it is that what you said in week one is true, and us trying to spin our heads around right now and figure it out is a fool's errand because we're not going to know crap until about week five, like every damn year.
Right. I was saying Minnesota. I meant New Orleans. My
Oh,
mistake
right
there.
on. Totally,
I,
man.
I was
Totally.
thinking,
Absolutely. No, though you're right. Those three teams, absolutely, and they're all they are going to contend to win this division at 9 and 8.
yeah. I mean, because again, week to week, I don't know what we're getting from any of them.
hmm
They look like world beaters, then they look like complete garbage.
New Orleans looked like an all-time offense for the first 2 weeks of the season, and the Eagles shut them down like they were nothing. And the Eagles had played poor defense prior to that, or at least mediocre. So figure out this league, man. I'm with you.
All right. We got a couple more. We got last night's games. Buffalo. Good Lord.
Dude.
47-10. Um, that is the death nail in Jacksonville's coffin, I think. They are Dunsky.
And there's another team that will have less than 6 wins.
I believe yes, that could be true.
I
Yep.
cannot believe I'm saying that about a team I picked to make the playoffs after 3 weeks, but they look awful. They look awful, awful, awful. Trevor Lawrence looks terrible. Um, they're not using their running game effectively at all. That was very good last year. Their defense that we thought was good, that was good last year, has not been effective this year. They are just a absolute garbage team. I
Well,
can't
yep.
believe I'm saying that. By the way, can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right though.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and you got to say now Buffalo, I thought was going to be on the downside. I was really contemplating not having them make the playoffs. Um, but here we are. They're 3-0, and they actually look great. Josh Allen is, I think, affirming his case of the best quarterback in the league. I think he has surpassed Mahomes in terms of best quarterback in the league. Not best arm in the league, not decisions and not real football, but in terms of like fantasy football,
hmm
he's the clear number one quarterback.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. And you can make a case that he's playing. Now, here's a really good case for if you want to forget the fantasy aspect for a second, for just real life better quarterback right now. If you want to make the case for Josh Allen, the case is he doesn't have any better weapons than Mahomes.
No, he doesn't have. He has the worst weapons he's ever had in his career, really. And he's got a good running game. But other than that, I mean, he's running. He's making good decisions, and they are coming out and they are dominating people. They're playing really, really well.
Oh, it's impressive, man.
I
Like
got to
they
say that I don't know when the first time they play the Jets is, but that's going to be a huge game.
that's going to be massive, man. To me, the Bills are the best team in the AFC right now. And
Yeah.
here's a stat to hammer home what you were saying about Josh Allen, and also to hammer home what I was saying about Trevor Lawrence. At halftime in that game last night, Trevor Lawrence 10 for 22 for 59 yards and a pick. Josh Allen 22 for 28 for 247 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's at half.
Oh my God.
That was at the half. Oh, and by the way, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the feel good story of last night and this entire weekend in football. Damar Hamlin gets a pick. Beautiful.
Yes. Yes. Totally agree there. That is awesome. Trying to think. I'm trying to look at some injuries if we missed anybody that we've already talked about. Not that I can tell here. All right. Um. Yeah. I mean, Evan Ingram. He's still out. It looks like he's going to miss one or two more games.
Yes, he's back to being Evan Ingram.
Yep.
And I want to thank the guy in my fantasy league that started him anyway and let me beat him.
Okay. One more game. Uh,
Well, lots to talk about
30,
in this one, buddy.
38-33. Washington beats Cincinnati. We both got it wrong. By the way, we both got the Buffalo game right. We both got the Kansas City game right. And we both got the Rams wrong. Um, 38-33, Jaden Daniels had as many incompletions as he had touchdowns thrown, which was two.
Let me tell you something, bud. You and I both came out on our pod and said we like Caleb Williams better than Jaden Daniels. And listen, it may turn out that way in the long run, but through 3 games, you and I are clearly incorrect. Jaden Daniels is the best rookie quarterback, and it's not even close.
I can't dispute that one bit.
I am so impressed by this guy. He threw 2 deep balls last night. That touchdown pass he threw to clinch the game, basically. I can't remember who caught it off the top of my head. Was it McLaurin? I think it was Terry McLaurin. Um, it was a 37 yarder. What the hell was it? Uh, Shit, I didn't write 27 yarder to McLaurin with 2:10 left on 3rd and 7. He threw a teardrop that fell right into the breadbasket of Terry McLaurin where only he could catch it. The defender was playing pretty decent defense and he just dropped it on a dime. I mean, I was so impressed by this guy. Add to that he has the dual threat of the legs. And listen, I'm going to mea culpa too. I have spent a lot of time ripping on the guy whose name I refuse to acknowledge, who is their offensive coordinator now. The guy who used to be the Cardinals head coach.
Oh, oh, jeez.
Cliff Kingsbury. Sorry, people.
Kingsbury, thank you.
And I'm going to say I am absolutely blown away by how well he is game planning for this guy. They started him off super conservative the first couple weeks. He was high completion percentage, low yardage. It's gotten a little more aggressive every week until this week he's dropping dimes on 3rd and 7 with the game on the line from 27 yards out. It was a beautiful thing to see. So my fault. I take it back, Kingsbury, for now at least. And Jaden Daniels has surpassed Caleb Williams as my #1 quarterback in this class.
Without question. Without question.
Incredibly impressive. One of the most incredible performances I've seen by a rookie quarterback. It was super impressive. And the Bengals, what the hell?
I don't know. Joe Burrow's starting to come around at least, and Jamar Chase is as well. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking they're going to start to get going here a little bit. But my goodness, they can't. I mean, they're 0-3 now, and uh, to lose to Washington at home, two of these three are at home too against teams you should win. You should beat New England and Washington. Come
Yep.
on,
I
can't
know,
win
man.
one of those games.
I know. I don't know.
Well, I don't know what to think. One of these years, this is going to catch up to them. But I still am willing to bet at like week 12 or 13, we're talking about how well they're playing and how great they are.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see. I'm going to hold off on one stat about this until our next pod because we're gonna do a little new segment that I want to use it in. But like this early season crap with Cincy is so weird. Like there's like once it made sense once when Burrow was coming off an injury, a big injury. But it's not just that; it's every damn year. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's going to cost their coach's job eventually because you're not going to be able. They're going to miss the playoffs when they should make it one of these years, maybe this year, and it's going to eventually cost him his job. And it's so weird that they can't win a game early. It's just strange. And then they go out. They're super competitive against Kansas City, and then they get dusted. Not dusted, but they lose pretty handily. It was closer than it looked, or it was not as close as the final score looked because they scored one of those touchdowns and a 2-point conversion in garbage time to the Commanders. So I don't know, man. It's a tough one to figure.
I totally agree. That Commanders game, totally crazy. For the week, I went 8-8. You went 9-7, so you picked that game back up, and you also got your upset correct with Minnesota.
Hey, it's rare I get one of those. I'll take it.
I'll tell you what, though, the last 2 weeks we have not been good.
No, no.
We've been
Putrid.
under 500 the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, putrid.
Both of us, yeah.
Yeah, stinky. And listen, it's been a weird couple of weeks in the NFL, no doubt about it. But boy, we got to step it up too.
Wow. Okay,
Making
and
our life difficult.
yep, and week 4 will be, I'm sure, just as crazy. And we're going to preview that. So make sure you guys are on the lookout for that. Anybody listening, The week 4 preview will be out shortly after this is out, shortly after you're listening now. And we do that every single week. Al, you going to be ready to do the prediction show?
Darn right, man. You can't stop me. Even if no matter how wrong I am, I'm going to keep picking.
Me too. Me too. All right. Well, we're
It's
going
like
to
the
get to
Brett
that.
Favre theory. I'm sorry, Craig. It's like the Brett Favre theory of passing the football. Doesn't matter how many
Uh,
picks you throw, you just keep chucking it.
did you hear what came out about him?
I know it's so sad, man. The
That
Parkinson's
sucks.
thing.
That
Yeah, what a
sucks.
bummer. What a bummer. One of my favorite people to ever watch play the game.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. That's going to do it for this one. And we'll be right back. Like I said, shortly after this one is out, the preview for week 4 will be out as well. And until then, Al, I'll see you there. And until then, next time, I will see you later.